I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah. There is a blue one who can't accept the green one for living with the big one. Try to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha.
We've gotta live together. I am no better, and neither are you.
We're all the same, whatever we do.
You love me, you hate me.
You know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, 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 yeah. There is a long hair that doesn't like the short. Never being such a rich one will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha.
We've gotta live together.
There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks. And so on and so on and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am everyday people. Sing it, everybody. I am everyday people. different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha.
We've gotta live together. I am no better, and neither are you.
We're all the same, whatever we do.
You love me, you hate me.
You know me, and then you can't figure out the bag I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, 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 yeah. There is a long hair that doesn't like the short. Never being such a rich one will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha.
We've gotta live together.
There is a yellow one that won't accept the black one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on, and Scooby-Dooby-Dooby. Ooh, sha-sha. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I am everyday people. Sing it, everybody. I am everyday people.
Go on.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For this precious day. For all gathered here. And those far away. For this time we share. With love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. For all gathered here. And those far away. For this time we share. With love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Ministers serving this religious community with my colleague, the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin. Whoever you are, all right, let's start over. Good morning again, and welcome everyone to Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Abhijan Amanchi. My pronouns are he, him, one of the ministers serving this liberal religious community with my colleague, the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are from, whatever your beliefs, gender identity and expression, or immigration status, we welcome you to worship this morning. Fran Flieger, today's pastoral visitor, is on YouTube chat. There will be times throughout the service for you to engage with written comments via live chat. Today's service is not just an invitation to deepen our spiritual lives through community connection, but also to explore how we can nourish, sustain, and stretch our spirits to practice compassion, equanimity, and gratitude in these perilous times. We need spiritual practices that will sustain us through this time. These practices are not intended to sugarcoat or minimize the very real dangers of this global pandemic, but they can help us deal with the associated stress and anxiety, accept what we cannot change, and build up our resilience. And we need one another, and we need to do this together. I'm so glad you're joining us this morning. If you're joining us for the first time today, please let our greeter Sue Henry know in the chat. Newcomers are invited to complete the form that will be linked there. We'll have instructions near the end of the service for a Zoom room for newcomers to connect, get to know one another, and for some of us to answer any questions you may have about Cedar Lane or Unitarian Universalism in general. We hope you'll join us. And if you've been attending Cedar Lane for a while and you're interested in joining this amazing religious community, please reach out to my colleague, Reverend Katie, at kromanogriffin@cedarlane.org. I invite you now to turn and greet your neighbor online by saying hello, namaste, live long and prosper in the YouTube live chat. How did the sound go? here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, God here.
If you have a chalice at home, you're invited to light yours as we light our chalice at Cedar Lane, and let us know in the live YouTube chat where this chalice is lit by saying this chalice is lit in, for example, College Park, Maryland for me. Use your town, neighborhood, or wherever else you are in the world. And please join me in reading the chalice lighting words on your screen. May the light we now kindle and the time we share together anchor us to that inner flame, that sacred center, which helps us to remember who we were before the world told us who it wanted us to be. May we glimpse again what it means to be whole. And may the chalice flame symbolize our commitment to listen deeply, love mightily, and journey with compassion and courage together. Let's settle in for a story from our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Tim Atkins.
Good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be with you this morning. So today I have a story from the book Ancient Stories for Modern Times, published by our UUA. These are stories retold by Faye Mogson. And this is called The Happy Man's Shirt. Most of us want nothing more than for our children to be happy. This Italian tale calls to mind the most important elements in our quest for joy. Similar stories are told in the Middle Eastern folk tradition and by Hans Christian Andersen and Leo Tolstoy. Once there was a prince who never smiled. Never. So the king, of course, desperately wanted his son to be happy. He tried everything, but the court jester was a bore. Royal balls were intolerable. Princesses were insufferable. The prince spent his days staring listlessly out the window and could not say what ailed him. The king called for doctors, philosophers, and sages. And after conferring together for countless hours, they came up with the perfect solution. You must find a man, a happy man, and bring his shirt to your son. And then all the happiness in that shirt will envelop and nurture your son. The idea was unusual but simple, so why not try? And so the king sent his ambassadors to find a truly happy man. They came upon a merchant content with his grand home and beautiful family. He seemed just right, until they asked whether he would like to be knighted. His eyes filled with such desperate longing that they knew he was not the man they had sought. Then they came upon a priest full of energy and idealism. He seemed just right, until they asked whether he might like to be a bishop. He replied, "Nothing would please me more." And they knew that this man wasn't perfectly content either. They traveled far and wide, but whenever they went and wherever they went, no one was perfectly happy. There was always something in the way. People had too many children or too few, too much work or not enough. I bet you can think of some things like that in your life too. Indeed, it seemed that people were either too lonely or overwhelmed by too much company. They were too hungry or too full. They were overtired or they overslept. They were never satisfied. So the ambassadors were about to give up when they heard someone whistling a merry tune off in the distance. So they followed that melody to its source and found a farmer contentedly weeding. As they approached, he welcomed them and said with delight, "I could use a break. Please join me for water and fresh pickled carrots." The ambassadors were accustomed to wine and cake, but they tried the humble offering and found it both refreshing and delicious. The farmer beamed, "What a glorious day it is. A man could not wish for more." Well, wouldn't a bigger farmer be better? Well, a bigger farm would be too much work. Mine is the perfect size. Wouldn't life be easier if you were a merchant or a tradesman? But I miss working the soil and breathing the fresh country air. But you labor so hard. My wife and children help. Company makes the work go faster. Isn't there anything you wish for? And after the man thought hard, he replied, nothing. The ambassadors were truly perplexed by this very poor but very happy man. And they were also thrilled. You are the man we've been looking for. We have been asked to bring the shirt of a truly happy man to the king. Well, the man stared at them for a moment, and then he laughed apologetically. But I don't own a shirt. It was true. The ambassadors returned to the king empty-handed, but not empty-headed. They knew the prince would need to weave his own shirt of happiness. And they had some ideas on how he might do that. I wonder how you would weave your own shirt of happiness if you had the chance. And so this week, our service is about spiritual practices. And one of my favorite spiritual practices is all about words. It's all about stories and other spiritual readings. It's called Lectio Divina. And I want to share with everyone an easy 4-part process for doing this. In fact, it's so easy, I call it FOUR. F-O-U-R. Find a part of the passage that speaks to you. Oh, what memories are triggered when you read it? You and you, because what does your UU faith say about this? And then R, reflect. F-O-U-R. So let's talk about these in this story, just so you can get an example. F, find a part of the story or passage that speaks to you. And so I found the quote that really spoke to me in the story, and it was, the farmer beamed. What a glorious day it is. A man couldn't wish for more. F. Oh, what thoughts and memories are being brought up by that passage? Well, for me, this poor farmer is happy just as he is, and is happy that it's such a beautiful day. He isn't thinking about what he doesn't have. He's thinking about what he does have. And I know I need to do that more often, and I bet all of us could. You and you. So what does our UU faith say about this? It would say that we should love everyone just as they are. The farmer loves life just how it is. And our faith calls us to also help the farmer, but to listen to what the farmer actually needs and us not assume what he needs. And I think our faith tells us that what makes one person happy might not make everyone happy. And then R, reflect. So now I would take the time to quietly reflect on this story and what I learned from doing these 4 parts. Maybe I'll pray about it. In fact, I think I'll say a short prayer right now, just giving thanks for the farmers who are doing everything they can right now to keep us fed. May they be held in safety, health, happiness, and joy. Amen. So I'm a pretty big geek, and I doubt this is going to be a surprise for anyone, but I love reading, and I want a spiritual practice that looks at words and gives us a chance to reflect on those words. And you too can engage in this kind of Lectio Divina practice by remembering the 4 parts, F-O-U-R. In fact, here's my challenge to you this week. Try to use this 4-part process on something you read this week. It could be a poem, it could be a news story, it could be whatever book you're reading right now. And let me know how it goes. Send me an email or a message with it. I would love to hear how this practice goes for you. And I know it'll be a great practice for you too. And speaking of knowing, I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing, I Know This Rose Will Open.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose
We will be taking an offering today and every Sunday. Today we are sharing the plate with Manna Food Bank. In these uncertain times, Manna continues to serve our vulnerable neighbors who are food insecure. Recognizing that the COVID-19 crisis has hit the service industry really hard, displacing many workers and creating more food insecurity in our county, Manna is providing food to any Montgomery County resident impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Manna is also partnering with the Montgomery County school system to distribute weekend smart snacks for students all over the county. So now more than ever, Manna needs the generosity of our community to keep their warehouse stocked with essential supplies, their refrigerators and freezers operational, and their trucks fueled and running. Many of you have been inquiring how you can support Cedar Lane during this time. With in-person worship canceled and rentals at the church not happening, a significant portion of the church's income has been impacted, and with it, our ability to continue paying all our hardworking staff, including our part-time and hourly staff, whom the senior staff and the board are committed to supporting throughout this time. So I invite you today to consider making a one-time or a recurring financial gift online. And during the offertory, you may text to donate, or you may give online on the church website, or you may give via PayPal following the link on your screen or scanning the QR code with your smartphone. You just open the camera in your smartphone and hold it up to the QR code, and it will guide you through the rest. Or if you're old-fashioned, you can write a check and mail it to the church. We give thanks together as we give in love. The love we share goes forth to bless this world and comes back to us multiplied. As Jasmine Lee plays Sakura to celebrate spring and cherry blossoms, the online offering to support and sustain the mission and ministry of Cedar Lane and the critical work of Manna Food Bank will now be given and gratefully received.
in the words of Reverend Lynn Unger, through the work of our hearts and the work of our hands, our love is made real. We are grateful for all that we bring and share to make love real here at Cedar Lane and in our world.
It's encouraging to see more than 200 households right now on the live stream, and to know that last week we had over 900 views to the service. It serves as a reminder of why we gather each week, why we do this, not for our needs alone, but to bear witness to the joys and sorrows, the triumphs, the disappointments, to make the declaration that we are still here and we are still in this together. In this living sanctuary that transcends walls and is made sacred by our presence and the presence of the holy, let us breathe into this communal space we are creating as we reaffirm that we are companions on this life's journey. When I hold up my arms, I invite you to say, we hold you in our hearts. Let us breathe together. If parenting has become your primary spiritual practice, we hold you in our hearts. If you are mourning a loss of a loved one, we hold you in our hearts. If you live with or care for someone with grief or chronic pain, we hold you in our hearts. Please breathe with me. Let us imagine that as we exhale, we are sharing love with our words. If you live alone, if you are struggling with illnesses seen and unseen, with mental illness or addictions, we hold you in our hearts. Within our Cedar Lane community, we celebrate with Mildred Reynolds, who celebrated her 90th birthday this week. We also celebrate with Shirley Berry, who turned 96, and we rejoice with former intern minister Kristen Green, who has been welcomed into fellowship as a minister with the Unitarian Universalist Association after successfully acing her interview with the Ministerial Fellowship Committee. Kristen, Shirley, and Mildred Reynolds, we hold you in our hearts. Our caring extends beyond Cedar Lane to those whose lives are lost or impacted by calamities in the world. In our larger UU community, we mourn the passing of John LaPlante, a longtime member of the Unitarian Church of Evanston, Illinois. He was lost due to COVID-19. In our country and around the world, we remember the thousands whose lives have been lost in the coronavirus pandemic and the many thousands who remain infected. Those caring for the ill, those seeking a vaccine, all who serve in these times. For workers who face layoffs, furloughs, and financial hardships. For travelers trying to return home. Let us breathe. We hold you in our hearts. Let us also remember the helpers, military personnel, doctors, nurses, technicians, orderlies, home health aides, first responders, pharmacists, administrators, postal workers, sanitation workers, retail workers, delivery drivers, childcare providers, social workers, leaders, city officials, researchers, storytellers, art makers, and musicians, and so many more. Let us breathe together. We hold you in our hearts. Let us also hold in our hearts the loss of 25 lives in a terror attack at a Sikh temple in Kabul on Wednesday. All whose lives were lost and their families. We hold you in our hearts. May these friends of ours, our companions in the world, all the joys and sorrows that have been shared and those that have yet to be shared, all those that still live unspoken in our hearts, may they all be held by a love that will not let us go. I invite you now, as you enter your joys or sorrows in the live chat or in the comments, know that the live chat will be deleted after this service when it's posted for community privacy, but comments remain permanent. As we move into this time more deeply into our sharing, I give you these words from Mary Oliver on praying. Doesn't have to be a blue iris, weeds in a vacant lot, or a few small stones. Just pay attention. Then patch a few words together and don't try to make them elaborate. This isn't a contest, but a doorway into thanks and a silence in which another voice may speak. Let us enter a moment of prayer and silence together. And whether you are at home or somewhere else, if you are mourning the loss of a loved one or an anniversary of a loss, you're invited to rise in body or spirit in remembrance and memory. Let us enter the silence together.
Comfort ye, comfort ye, comfort ye, oh my soul. Comfort ye, comfort ye, comfort ye, oh my soul. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, all my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, all my soul. Speak for me, speak for me. Speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
please read responsibly the words in bold on your screen. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. May we return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being, common to us and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, may we fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, may we practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. And now we invite you to reflect on the question, how are you caring for yourself during these days? You are welcome to respond in the chat as we listen to This Is My Prayer to Thee.
This is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Strike at the root of erring. In my heart, give me the strength wisely to hear my joys and my sorrows. Give me the strength to make my love fruitful in service. Give me the strength ever to disown the poor or bend my knees before insolent might. Give me the strength to raise my mind high above daily trifles, and give me the strength to surrender my strength in thy will with love.
Is it done? So last week I called longtime Cedar Lane member Mildred Reynolds to check in with her and see how she's doing during this pandemic. Mildred said, I am practicing an attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful for being in a safe place, for good, nutritious food that gets delivered to my door every morning, and I'm grateful for being alive. And then she said, I'm taking none of this for granted. I said to Mildred, rock on. So, this morning, I thought I would reflect for a bit on cultivating gratitude as a spiritual practice. Now, with all the tragic things that are happening during COVID-19, it may feel a bit unusual to be talking about gratitude. But as Eddie Hilsom observes, as life becomes harder and more threatening, it also becomes richer. Because the fewer expectations we have, the more the good things of life become unexpected gifts that we accept with gratitude. So in crisis conditions, I submit not only will a grateful attitude help, it is essential. In fact, it is precisely under crisis conditions when we have the most to gain by a grateful perspective on life. In the face of demoralization, gratitude has the power to energize. In the face of brokenness, gratitude has the power to heal. In the face of despair, gratitude has the power to bring hope. In the face of isolation, gratitude has the power to connect. In the face of stress, gratitude has the power to strengthen our immune system. And right now, we need to be doing everything we can to increase our immunity, both physical and mental. Gratitude, however, is not a panacea. It may not cure or solve our anxiety or problems, but it can foster ease, connection, compassion, generosity, all valuable qualities which would be good to go viral at this time. Gratitude also cannot save us from sickness or suffering, but it can change how we experience sickness, and it may change our relationship to suffering. I'm also not suggesting that gratitude is going to come easily or naturally in a time of crisis. See, it is hard to feel grateful if you tested positive for COVID-19, or if you are at risk of contracting it, or if you lost a loved one, or lost your job, or are experiencing food and income insecurity. But it is important to make a distinction between feeling grateful and being grateful. According to Dr. Robert Emmons, a leading scientific expert on gratitude, being grateful is a choice, a prevailing attitude that endures and is relatively immune to the gains and losses that flow in and out of our lives. When disaster strikes, gratitude provides a perspective from which we can view life in its entirety and not be overwhelmed by temporary circumstances. In other words, gratitude can put things in perspective. It can open our eyes to a more expansive reality that also includes beauty, joy, goodness, and truth. Now, while this perspective is hard to achieve, Emmons says it is well worth the effort. So, what might this mean with regard to how we respond to the immediate concerns of COVID-19? How might we seek and savor the unexpected opportunities and ordinary moments in this extraordinary time? In the midst of loss, sorrow, and suffering, how can we direct our attention toward the gifts that remain in our lives to build greater capacity to face what is challenging with an attitude of gratitude? Well, here are some possibilities. We might start by making a personal commitment to begin and end every day with 3 things we are grateful for. We might institute a new practice at mealtime with our children. WWW. What went well today? Or we could create a graffiti board on the fridge or on the wall with gratitude notes and art and pictures and share them with our community. #Cedar Lane Strong. We could learn to write thank you notes early and often. We could say thank you to just about everyone for just about everything. We can notice all the ways that people are caring for their fellow human beings and thank them. We could keep a gratitude journal, and in it, we can start being as specific and detailed as possible. For example, instead of writing in my journal, I'm grateful for my wife, my sons, my dog, my friends, and dinner tonight, I wrote, I'm grateful for the way Lalita's face lights up when she laughs. I'm grateful for Yashasvi, who vacuumed the house without being told. I'm grateful for Abhimanyu, who called his grandmother in India to check up on her. I'm grateful for peanut butter, which transformed my dog Bean, a picky eater, into finishing all his food in one single go. I'm grateful for a dear colleague for showing up at our house with all kinds of goodies in large bags to make sure we had enough to eat during the lockdown. And I'm grateful for spicy eggplant curry garnished with cilantro that made my heart sing last night at dinner. So, really relive the things you're grateful for in your imagination. Not just the big obvious things like family, health, job, but anything and everything that brings us pleasure and ought not to be taken for granted. Electricity, running water, soap, toilet paper, the internet, phone, Zoom, Facebook, the smell after rain, music, cherry blossoms, fresh air. The more we bring them to life, the more profoundly we will experience gratitude. And we could get started wherever we are. Even if we are in a bad place, as Dr. Emmons says, even if the only item on your list is nothing bad happened to me today. But there's more to gratitude than just giving thanks. It is also trying to pay it forward by serving others, especially those less fortunate. As Unitarian Albert Schweitzer put it so simply and powerfully, good fortune obligates. Service is a spiritual practice in and of itself and springs from the conviction that in light of all we have been blessed with, how else could we respond? To find the service we are called to do, seek to match your gifts with the world's needs by using your gifts not only to benefit your own life, but the lives of others. Even if you're not sure how your gifts align with the needs, just jump in somewhere, anywhere, and experiment with offering your help in different areas. As Donald Whitney notes, the best way to discover and confirm which spiritual gift is yours is through serving. By losing our life in the service of others, we truly do find it. So may gratitude give us strength to do all that needs to be done. May it open our hearts, our eyes, and our hands for those in need. May we be embraced by an incomprehensible, courageous love, a love that will not let us go or let us down or let us off the hook. And in the giving and in the receiving of love, may we offer our gratitude for what accompanies us through our greatest poverty, as well as in the midst of our greatest blessings. So let us center ourselves for a time, joining our mind, body, and spirit across the way. And cultivate gratitude with this guided meditation adapted from meditation teacher Jack Kornfield. Let yourself sit quietly and at ease. Allow your body to be relaxed and open, your breath natural, your heart easy. Begin the practice of gratitude by feeling how year after year you have cared for your own life. Now let yourself begin to acknowledge all that has supported you in this care. With gratitude, I remember the people, animals, plants, insects, creatures of the sky and sea, air and water, fire and earth, all whose joyful exertion blesses my life every day. With gratitude, I remember the care and labor of thousands of generations of elders and ancestors who came before me. I offer my gratitude for a new day that never fails to come, for the safety and well-being I have been given, for the blessing of this earth I have been given, for the measure of health I have been given, for the home I have been given, for the family and friends I have been given, for the community I have been given. I offer my gratitude for the life I have been given, for this moment of my life I have been given, the only moment that really matters at all. Continue to breathe gently in and out. Just as we are grateful for our blessings, so we can be grateful for the blessings of others. Bring to mind someone you care about, someone you rely on and trust, someone who is helping you now over the rough places. Picture them and feel the natural joy you have for their well-being and happiness. With each breath, offer them your grateful, heartfelt wishes. May you be well, calm, happy, healthy. May you be protected from internal and external harm. May you be peaceful. Sense the sympathetic joy and caring in each phrase. When you feel some degree of natural gratitude for this loved one, extend this practice to another person you care about. Recite the same simple phrases that express your heart's intention. Continue the gentle breath of connection. Breathe in, breathe out. And now extend it to your congregation, Cedar Lane, which is actually the people not the address. Picture them in your mind, and with each breath, offer them your grateful wishes. May you be well, calm, happy, healthy. May you be protected from internal and external harm. May you be peaceful. Continue to breathe gently and gradually open the meditation to the larger community, our county, state, our country, our world. Include those who are ill, those who are at risk, those who have lost loved ones, those who are suffering. Remember all the helpers who are at the front lines, serving. And in your heart, with each in-breath, with each out-breath, whisper, may you be well, calm, happy, healthy. May you be protected from internal and external harm. May you be peaceful. Let your gratitude and loving kindness reach out to all beings, sensing all beings in need of healing. May all be well, calm, happy, healthy. May all be protected from harm. May all be free from suffering. May all be whole. May all be peaceful. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaha. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. And now let us join Doctors Henry Segrishi and Jasmine Lee to sing Find a Stillness.
Find the stillness, oh, stillness, let the stillness catch Father, help me, Father, watch me, Father, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find the true harmony.
Before the closing words, I'd like to thank the team that came together to make this service possible. Thank you to the members of our amazing AV team, Mike Morse, Todd Chernikoff, Don Woodruff, Michael McCrickard, and a special thank you again to Tim Atkins for providing technical support. Thank you to our membership and pastoral volunteers who have been active in the live chat. We'd love for you to stay in touch.
12 o'clock.
If you're watching us live, please note that there are still 2 options for continuing connections after the service, and both are on the Zoom platform. If you're new to Cedar Lane or to Unitarian Universalism, please join us in the welcome Zoom room. The Zoom link will be in the YouTube live chat and on your screen after the closing words. And if you're a Cedar Lane member or friend and want to hang out with your peeps, join us at Virtual Coffee Hour. Once we're all in the room, the host this time will assign you to a random breakout group so that we can all have small group social conversations. And the URL for the Virtual Coffee Hour will also be in the YouTube live chat and on your screen after the service. Thank you, Todd. And now we close with these words from Laura Kelly Fanucci. When this is all over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion, a routine checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we always wanted to be. We are called to be. We hoped to be. And may we stay that way better for each other because of the worst. Now let us extinguish our chalices, and please let us know in the comments that you will carry the flame in your hearts. Until we meet again, beloved ones, go in peace, go making peace, live gratefully, love fiercely, and surrender to the mystery. May it be so.
I don't know. I don't know yet.